um, then we have a certain practical implication I think could really apply. Okay, so for those that are part or not part, my name is Rabbi Levy. And I'm actually here in Israel teaching the class. Lost like 7 rounds of Rummy Cub. So if anybody knows the rules to that for how I could possibly beat my kids at that, that would be great. I want to start with, first of all, get everybody's system to work. Remember, guys, to mute yourself. I do have some points that I would want to share with you in terms of sharing the screen. I have to figure out how to do that. Kind of the first time with this. I just gave a class. All right, let's start off. Ready? Okay, let's start off. First of all, I want to deal with an underlying idea. Okay, underlying idea of certain things and certain ways that this is being handled. And I'll tell you what I mean. You hear a lot of points that you hear a lot of things being said. You hear a lot of things being suggested, all kinds of actions and so on and so forth. Feel free, if you want to ask the class, I'm more than happy to entertain it. Okay, just unmute or type on the side. I'm not really paying so much attention to what's being written on the side, but if you want to ask a question, just unmute yourself. So the first point is like this. We're clearly in a very unique situation in the world right now. We're clearly at a time where there's no precedent. Okay, there's no precedent to this going on. There's nothing that we can like lean on or really use as previous to this. So it's kind of everyone's in a way like learning on the job, which within itself is an idea. Meaning, you know, everyone's kind of learning on the job and what's going on. Where a lot of things going on at once. First of all, everyone's kind of trying to make sense of what's happening, you know, just to be hit. You know, we feel like we've been in this possibly for months, years at end, but really it's only been on an intense level, you know, a few days or a week or so. So it's kind of getting used to a new reality. That's one thing we need to do, is that. The second thing we want to understand is where can we take this whole situation that's going on, right? Where do we take this entire situation that's going on? Meaning, like, you know, what do we do with it? What do we do with it? There's a lot of things being said. There's a lot of things being posted. A lot of you know, a lot of videos going on and you know, and so on and so forth. So let's try and deal with that. Okay. And then on the third stage, bring it to something super practical. You know, like let's actually not just talk about, you know, let's call it fluffy chizuk and some type of bubble, but an actual something that we can kind of go home with for those of us that are already at home, kind of stay home with. All right, so let me deal with the first part. Okay, so we kind of divided it into 3. First is kind of just dealing with what everyone's saying about it. Okay, so what I'm sharing now is not from myself. Okay, these are not just my words, but effectively, Rav David Yosef, he's going to be coming out also with the video and so on and so forth, discussing this situation and so on and so forth. I spoke with him, spoke with his son, and you know, someone put out a video that said that, you know, this is a sign that God doesn't want our prayers because we can't pray in a minyan, right? We can't pray in a minyan. It's hard to get people together. You can't pray in a, you can't learn Torah. They closed the yeshiva down. And so on and so forth. So, give me a second. Yeah, turn it on. But the phone has to be here. Okay, let's do. Okay, 1 second. I'll get you a better connection in a second. Is that better connect? You guys hear me better? Is that better? Nod your head if you hear me better. Now, yeah? Good? Okay. Very yeah, I'm good. I'm using my connection. Yeah, it should be okay. All right. Okay, let's deal with that first. First of all, Hashem is not telling us that he doesn't want us to learn Torah. Okay? He's not telling us that he doesn't want us to learn Torah. Right? He's also not telling us that he doesn't want us to pray. Is that clear? Does that make sense to you? Right? He's not telling you, I don't want you to pray, I don't want you to learn Torah. What's Hashem? I don't want you to do it currently I don't want you to do it currently in the format that it's been done. Right? Meaning, there is tefillah even if you're not in shul. Please mute your phones, guys. Mute your phones for a minute. Right? Hashem is just telling us, I want you to do it I want you to pray, but I want you to pray from home. I want you to learn Torah, but I want you to learn Torah from home. So we need to discuss, right? We need to discuss why is that so? Why would Hashem want us? Why is that like the significance of the message? But someone was saying like, no, it's just a sign that Hashem doesn't want our Torah. That's not true. That's not true at all. That's not true. That's not true at all, because Hashem's not telling you I don't want you to learn. He's not telling you I don't want you to pray. He's saying I don't want you to pray at home in the minyan. I don't want you to learn in the yeshiva. That means that what is this forcing you to do? What is this whole situation effectively forcing us to do? It's forcing us to reconfigure and see like what you really stand for. Because this is the point. I would love it if you guys took out some notes and that kind of thing. We're kind of like back in school type of thing. I would love it if you took out some notes and figure this part out. But by Hashem saying you can't pray in a minyan, by Hashem saying you can't learn Torah in yeshiva, what's Hashem saying essentially? He's saying, now I want to see if you really want to pray. Because if you really want to pray, you'll pray at home as well. If you really want to learn, then you'll learn Torah at home as well. You're not just doing it because of a social pressure, or you're not just doing it because it's your schedule, or you're not just doing it because everyone's doing it. This is the time when we're proving effectively, right, that this is, you really want to pray. Because when you're at home, you could be doing now, you could be keeping yourself busy, and we'll get to that point a little bit later, like with what to do with our time. The idea of like what to do with our time and manage that situation. But someone put out a video and said Hashem doesn't want our prayers, he doesn't want our learning. No, I want it. Hashem is saying. Now I really want it. Now I really want to see if you want to learn, if you want to pray, if you want to do good things. Because now you could be at home doing nothing because you're out of your schedule. Now what it does is it forces us to go down to our core, down to what we effectively really represent. Because if you want to learn Torah, you learn Torah at home. If you want to pray, you'll pray at home as well. Okay, so that's kind of like dealing with that. Like I said, the first part of this class is we're just going to deal with that kind of discussion going on as well. Let's move on. Let's deal with again, none of this is my words. These are just words that my rabbis are telling me and so on and so forth. let's deal with David Yosef. First of all, he stands on his own right. David Yosef is one of the leaders of the generation. Also the son of Rabbi Yosef. Not just being his son is what makes him great. He himself is a Adam Gadol, respectively. And he was saying the following point. He was talking about this point. He was saying, people, you might see videos or news or whatever it might be that, if you're really religious and you really have belief in God, then you shouldn't, nullify your minyan. You shouldn't nullify this. You should just go out and act as normal, because somebody who really believes in God, has true emunah, doesn't have to worry about it. Right? Right? So he says like this. The Gemara says, Shluchei mitzvah enon nizakin. The Gemara in Tachim Zavchet Amud Bet, right? It's 8b. The Gemara says that someone who is busy with a mitzvah does not get damaged, does not get hurt. Someone who's busy with a mitzvah does not get hurt. Right? So someone who's busy with a mitzvah does not get hurt. So seemingly you could say, okay, you know what? I don't have to be scared of anything. I don't have to be concerned. I don't have to change my habits and so on and so forth, because I'm going to be doing a mitzvah. But the Gemara says like this. The Gemara continues. The Gemara says, when is this so? The Gemara says that's when everything is natural and normal. But when things are not normal, when the reality has changed, right, then just saying we do a mitzvah is not going to be enough. That the Gemara says when things are normal, okay, you're doing a mitzvah, that, so to speak, will protect you. But when things are not normal, so to speak, the reality has changed, you can't be somech al anet. You cannot rely on a miracle. That's the Torah's view. This is not my opinion. What does that mean? It means when the doctors say something, when the government comes out and which are things we have to listen to. I know here in Israel, Mike is on, please. So I just want to say that, here in Israel, they have a very good, lock on the situation, let's call it. It's a small country. It's controllable in that level. You're not talking about 500 million people. Number two, the country itself is used to situations of like wartime. So it's kind of a mindset Israel kind of gets. I'm in Israel right now. I'm saying like it's a mindset. Like there's a time of challenge. Everyone kind of like, kind of gets into on that level. So what I'm saying, and Netanyahu got on he's been speaking almost every night, speaks for a while, and he gives he gives like, how should we react? And we're saying, like, you're not a Baal Bitachon, you don't have a lot of emunah if you don't listen. That's not what constitutes emunah. We'll talk about it in a minute. We'll get to it, and that's going to kind of be the start of this class. Is we'll get to it. What does that mean? Like, how does emunah and bitachon fit into this? Like, somebody saying, I'm not going to listen to what they're saying, what the doctors, what the government is saying, and I'm just going to continue life as normal. That's not called emunah. That's not called emunah, right? And why is that? And we'll talk about it now. The Gemara that says, like, when you're doing a mitzvah, then you don't have to worry, you don't have to be concerned. The Gemara says, yeah, but that's when things are natural, but you can't rely on a miracle. When God puts, and this is the point I want everybody to, if you're taking notes, to focus on this. When God creates a reality, that reality is how Hashem talks to us. You get what I'm saying? You're not lacking in emunah, right? If you're paying attention to the reality, you're adjusting to it, because that's essentially how God is talking to us. The Gemara says, how do I know this from? Yeah? How do I know this? How do I know this? You guys hear me okay? It's hard to judge on this. You guys just nod your head if you hear okay. Yeah, you good? Okay. Gemara says, how do I know this? Gemara says a very interesting story. The story in that Gemara Psachim is with Shmuel. It was time to anoint. Sorry, I'm just going to try and fix this a little bit better. It was time to anoint a new king, King David, and King David and Shaul, who was the previous king, they didn't get along. Let's call it, to put it mildly, right? They didn't get along, and actually, Shaul HaMelech was trying to kill David HaMelech. He was trying to kill him, and Hashem says, listen to this. Hashem says to Shmuel, who was the prophet, he says to him, go to Yerushalayim and anoint King David. Go to Yerushalayim and anoint King David. So Shmuel says, what does Shmuel say? Shmuel says to Hashem. Shmuel says to God, he says, how could I go to Yerushalayim and anoint King David? V'shama Shaul v'haragani. If Shaul hears, he's going to kill me. Right? If Shaul hears, then he's going to kill me. So interesting. Let's just think about the situation for a minute. What's going on? God's telling you to do something. All right? God is telling you. He's saying, listen, let's pick someone here. Who do you want to pick on? Let's pick Tina here. All right? Let's pick Eddie. We picked on Eddie already. So Eddie, Tina, Avi.
Yeah,
Hashem,
Rabbi.
right? Hashem is telling you, listen, this is kosher. And then you tell God, listen, I'm not sure. I should go to my rabbi and find out. I'm God. Like I told you, this is what you should do. You understand? So here the question is, God tells Shmuel Hanavi, he says to him, go to Jerusalem and anoint King David. And Shmuel says, no, I can't do that right now because King Saul is there. Shaul HaMelech is there. And if he hears, he's going to get upset and he's going to catch me. He's going to kill me. What do you mean? I'm God. I'm telling you should do it. That is what Shmuel should have said. But what does Shmuel say in return? Shmuel says, you know what? I'll take a sacrifice and make like you're going to give a sacrifice in Jerusalem and like trick Shaul. What do you mean? Like, you're God. You're telling me to do that. Why do I have to take a sacrifice and make like I'm tricking Shaul and all these kind of things? It doesn't make any sense. The whole conversation doesn't make sense. Right? So the answer is from here the Gemara learns that when there's a reality going on, even if you're talking to God, God's telling you, go to Jerusalem. Okay, but put your seatbelt on. What do you mean? You're God. You're going to make sure it's going to be okay. No, there's a reality. You have to pay attention to the reality. Again, these are not my words. You get what I'm saying? This is the Gemara's words. Chaim David Yosef. Like, you have to understand. I'm saying this for a reason. Because people are looking and saying, if you really have emunah, you don't have to pay attention to doctors. No, that's not the way God works. God works in the way that He creates a reality, and He wants to see how you react to it. You understand? You see that from the conversation. Does this make sense? Is this coming across? I'm talking to a bunch of squares. It's like basically on my end, it's just a bunch of boxes with names. He's like nodding your head. Yeah? Oh no. It becomes trouble.
Shalom.
Dog. Okay. How do you mute? I want to kick you off the whole thing.
You have to put a mask, Rabbi. Put a mask.
Rabbi, stop killing the vibe. We were having fun.
Wait, I muted it. No,
mute him.
No, his thing doesn't mute. It doesn't mute his special one.
He keeps on muting it.
You're not muting me. I'm listening.
All right, let's go on. So that's point number one. Okay, so the first point is, again, you see that even when God tells you to do something, right, He expects you to, you're talking to Him directly and you're a prophet, He still expects you to use your mind, to pay attention to the reality, and that's not a lack of bitachon. Bitachon is when it's a situation, it's a state of how to react to it. Okay, that's point number one. Number two. Right? There's another.
Correct. Okay. And so, if that's true, now what answer choice do we get?
I'll show it to you. I want to see if I can do this.
That would be.
Hold on. Just a minute. Let me share my screen for a second.
Northeast C, right? No, wait, D.
Okay.
Where's that? The Bahamas?
So it's not gonna be B, right? It's leaning towards the other. Right?
Somebody has to put themselves on mute. You guys see the screen? Do you guys see the screen?
Yeah, we see it. We see it. We see it.
Okay, so the first one is referring to this Gemara that I was showing you. Amar Rabbi Lezer Shluchei Mitzvah Anoni Zakin. If you see where my arrow is, right over there, Eicha Deshchiach Ezeh Kashayni. Right, the Gemara raises a difficulty. But didn't Rabbi Lezer say that those that are on the path to perform mitzvah are not susceptible to harm throughout the process of performing the mitzvah? The Gemara responds, in a place where danger is commonplace, it's different. As one should not rely on a miracle. I'm bringing this out and I'm really stressing it because there's a lot of things going on in the internet and on YouTube and all these things that, people acting in different ways. So this is not my words. This is how the Gemara, this is how the Yosef and so on and so forth is saying, Lushak. And there's the story with Shmuel, you see it. And Samuel said, how will I go? Shaul will hear and kill me. And God said, take in your hand the calf. God should have said, like we said before, what do you take in your hand the calf? You should have just not paid attention to it. No. Next Gemara. Amar Abaye, right? Lo leme inish hachi detani Rabbi Shmuel v'rapo yirapeh. Mikan shenitna reshut larofe lerapot. Abaye responded and said, one should not say this as it was taught in the school of Rabbi Shmuel, that from the verse, and shall cause him to be thoroughly healed. From here we derive that permission is granted to a doctor to heal. The practice of medicine is in accordance with the will of God. So the question is like this, okay? Why do we need, this verse is teaching us that you can go to the doctor, all right? The question that we need to discuss is, why do I need a pasuk, a verse, and this is where I want you guys to answer it. Why do I need a verse to tell me that I can go to the doctor? You hear the question, guys? Why do I need a verse that tells me I can go to the doctor? There's a pasuk, verapo yirapeh, that I can go to the doctor.
Because perhaps otherwise we would think that, God is God and he'll just, heal us himself or whatever, and we'll just wait on that rather than
Good. Who's talking? Unmute yourself or unface yourself.
My name is Josh Friedman.
Hey, Josh. Okay, good. Say it again. Good.
Yeah. I said because perhaps we'll feel that, God will just heal us himself and we'll just wait on that, to happen rather than going to a doctor, because we'll just say to ourselves, well, God doesn't realize that I'm sick and all that and he can't heal me, so maybe that's the shot.
Good. So that's one thing, but there's another point to it. There's a complete other point to it. What else? That's already later on stage in the game. Not that God will, meaning we'll tie it into what you're saying. You're right. But let's take it another step forward. A person might say, hey, if God gave me this situation, then all I'm supposed to do is sit back. Because what right do I have to fiddle with God's will? You understand? You guys understand this point? You might say, how could you go to the doctor? How is a person allowed to go to the doctor? I'm fiddling with God's will. I'm changing his will. You can't, that's wrong. If God wanted me to have it, then he would have given it to me. Right? You understand the point? What right do I have to go to the doctor? The Gemara says, no, Rapo Yirapeh. You have a mitzvah to go to the doctor. What does that mean? How do we explain it? So if God wanted someone to be healthy, would have made him healthy. How do you answer that? Very simply. This is the point I want you to, this is one of the points I want you to make note of. Okay, I want you to make note of this, of one of these points, which is the following point.
Rabbi, can you repeat the question again?
Yeah, yeah.
Avi, can you listen normally? Avi, stop asking questions.
The question is the following point. There's a pasuk, there's a verse in Shemot, right, that says, V'rapo yirapeh, that you will be made healthy, okay? That you can go to the doctor, and the Gemara learns from there. From here, you see that you can go to the doctor. right? So the question is, why do I need a pasuk? Why does the Torah have to tell me I can go to the doctor? I mean, it's kind of obvious, right? I need a pasuk. It says, "Yirapo, yirapeh." Okay, I can go to the doctor. The Gemara learns that from there. Mikan not reshut. From here, you see that you have permission to go to the doctor. Why? Why do I need a verse? Why do I need a pasuk for that? Why does God have to tell me that? Josh was saying, right? That's the name, Josh. Josh was saying that you might think that if God's putting you in a situation, right? And this is the answer, really. If He's putting you in a situation, you just have to accept it. If you believe in God, you just accept it, and that's it. You can't go to the doctor. If God wanted the person to be healthy, He would have made him healthy. What right do you have to fiddle with God's will? You understand the question now, Avi? And the answer is no. The way Emunah and Bitachon works is God puts us in a situation, but He wants to see your reaction.
Mm-hmm.
It's your reaction that He's waiting for. He put the person in a situation because He wants to see the person's reaction. Ready, guys? I want you to take note of this. If those of you that are taking notes, except for Adele because she's driving, but I want you to think about this point. What's the difference between Emunah and Bitachon? Emunah and Bitachon, right? Emunah is faith, is the belief, it's the outlook.
Mm-hmm.
Bitachon is the practical way of how we go about it. Meaning like this.
Mm-hmm.
You could have, and this is like a super Sephardic thing, right? Right? We could have a lot of emunah, but we might not have a lot of bitachon. You understand? We could have a lot of emunah. Somebody should mute. Sorry, guys. You could have a lot of emunah, but you might not have a lot of bitachon. Emunah means you believe in God, but you allow that belief to actually affect the way you act. Okay, I'll give you an example. Someone that has a lot of belief in God. Sorry, someone should mute themselves. Sorry. Is that better? That's better, right? Okay. So just unmute yourselves if you want. Meaning like you could have a lot of emunah, which is belief in God, but if it doesn't affect the way you act, then it's bitachon that's lacking. So for example, someone could be praying, somebody could be saying Tehillim, but if they steal in business, they have belief, but they don't have bitachon. Is that point up? Do you understand the point? Someone unmute, and I want to know that point came across. Nod your head or show your
Yes, it came across, yes.
No, it didn't come across. No.
No? Meaning, this is why I'm giving the class, not because we're not just wasting our time. We need to, if you don't understand something that I'm saying, so please pause me and ask it. Let's go over it again. No problem.
Okay, I got it, no problem.
I have all the time in the world right now. So
Literally.
the point is like this. There's something called emunah and there's something called bitachon. You've heard of the two terms?
Yes.
Okay, emunah is faith and bitachon is the way that you act. You could have belief in God, but you might not put it into action, right? For example, I'll give you an example. Somebody might be saying, how could that be? For example, you could believe that smoking is not healthy, but you might still smoke a pack a day. Right?
Yeah.
So just because you
right.
believe something
That's
doesn't
right.
mean that you're acting on it.
Oh.
You understand?
Wait. So you can believe that praying is the right thing to do, but you're not actually going to do it.
No, you'll do, well, that might be one stage. Or you'll pray, but you'll still be dishonest in business. You'll still talk Lashon Hara. You'll still steal. You get upset. I believe. I go to 3 minyanim. I say Tehillim every single day. But the action is missing.
So that means you have emunah, but no bitachon.
Exactly.
Okay.
The question is, can you have bitachon but automatically have emunah?
Yeah, if you have bitachon, then you automatically have emunah because
All right, that makes sense.
Yeah. So it's bitachon comes with emunah, but emunah doesn't come with bitachon.
Look. It's just, well, if you have bitachon, right, that means you're acting upon it. So if you're doing it for the real reason, then you have emunah, right? But you could have, so it doesn't work reverse. As far as I know, maybe someone will say differently. I don't know. It's actually the first time I've been asked that question. But as far as I understand, you could have bitachon. If you have bitachon, meaning if you're acting upon pre-notions that are God and the Torah, so then you believe in the Torah, right? I mean, you could be doing something because you don't believe. That's a different story. It could be sometimes that somebody could be doing something and not believing, but we're talking about someone does believe, and that's why he does act, right? But the bitachon, in Hebrew, right? Bitachon. What is bitachon? When they say bitachon in Hebrew, those are the people that stand outside. When you're standing outside of something in Israel, and they have those two like Israel. Hello, boina. Hello, nichnas. Hello, yeled. That's you know what I'm talking about? Those two Israeli guys, and the guy's like, he's like 2'1", but he's stronger than like Thor.
Like me.
Like
me.
Thor. No, we said 2'1",
Hi,
not
Rabbi.
right?
Yeah. How are you?
So the bitachon are the people that actually, they implement the security. So this was very important because it's important to constitute in our brain, because this whole situation, and again, I just want to preface this point. I'm in the same boat as everyone else, okay? I'm not older than anyone else. I'm not smarter than anyone else. All of us are in the same level and point here. The only point I'm saying is that I've received certain guidance from either my rabbis or studied the Torah and it's taught certain things through, that's all I'm giving over. But I'm not prefacing to have any type of above knowledge than anyone else that's joining this call. But what I am saying is that this entire situation is a big test of our mind. Okay? I started off by saying, you have to listen to the doctors, you have to listen to the health, you have to listen to the health administration, you have to listen to the government, because if you're doing that, doesn't mean you don't have bitachon, or a belief or bitachon in God. It's just showing God's always waiting. How are you going to react? And we'll get to it more in a few minutes. We'll get to this on a deeper level in a few minutes. But what we can say for certain is that the entire world is in the same situation, which is very interesting to know, because I'm always used to hearing Israel, like Israel's dealing with it, and like the rest of the world is not, type of thing. You know what I mean? But now all of a sudden the entire world is dealing with it, and we'll kind of come to that. So a big part of not just, we don't want to just make it alive through this situation. A big point of actually getting closer to Hashem in this predicament is what we're thinking up here. It's what you're thinking up here. Are you gonna allow the reality of what's going on to bring you into depression, to bring you into panic, bring you into unhealthy fear? And remember, I started this off by saying we need to listen to what the doctors, the government, and all these kind of things are saying. But we need to get into panic mode. Are you allowed to get depressed because of it? No, that's not. That's where our bitachon comes in. It's not enough just to say I believe. How is it affecting your actions? We'll talk about that in a minute. That's why we brought this Gemara that said, for example, you're allowed to go to the doctor. Why do I need to say that I'm allowed to go to the doctor? Right? The answer is no, of course. Of course I'm allowed to go. It was teaching me that there's a reality, and God expects you, and He's waiting to see how you're going to deal with that reality. Sorry, guys, something just happened. There, we're good? We're okay? Nod your head. I want to make sure that everything's good. Okay?
Yeah, it's all good.
What? Okay, let's go on. Now, the Ben Ish Chai gives a mashal for this whole situation with the whole doctor thing. He gives a mashal for it. He basically says that, if someone is holding, let's call it a pail of potatoes or a pail of olives or something like that, is it lack of emunah or bitachon if you cook the potatoes? Are you saying, well, if God wanted it to be soft and mashed potatoes, he would have made it that way? No, God gives us, and this is the point that he says, he gives us the reality and he expects to see how we're going to deal with it. You understand? HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives us the reality and he wants to see how we're going to deal with it. Just like you get an olive from an olive tree and you have to make it soft in order to be edible, that's not changing God's will. It's God giving you a reality and he's going to see, I want you to be part in it. And it's not foreign in the Torah. It's not foreign. There are many things that God gives us to do that give us a place in the mitzvah, our part in it, and so on and so forth. So I'm saying is even today, it's God's giving us a reality, all of us, right? He expects us to deal with it. He expects us to deal with it, on a natural level, which is obviously in terms of what we're saying health-wise and cleanliness-wise, but also he expects us to deal with it.
Rabbi, we can't hear you. We can't hear you.
Oh, sorry. Maybe sorry. Still can't hear you?
Yeah, you're good. Just go back like a minute, please.
A minute. Okay. It's a long time, a minute. What I'm saying is reiterating those 2 points is that just like God gives us a situation where we have to, like the Ben Ish Chai says, he gives you olives, he gives you fruits, he gives you vegetables that you have to cook and are not edible without it. So too, God gives you the power and the reality to make a difference because he's waiting to see how you're going to react. So this whole situation is a big test, other than other things, about really what are you made of internally in terms of our mind. Can you control and teach yourself to the extent that's normal to stay in a positive mindset? Okay, I want to go on with, hold on one second. I want to go on from another example of this where I've spoken about this in the past, but I really think that it pertains very strongly. So first of all, we've heard of Rabbi Akiva, right? Rabbi Akiva was, just to give you an example, Moshe Rabbeinu saw Rabbi Akiva and he said to him, God showed Moshe Rabbeinu on Har Sinai every generation and who the leaders were. And then Moshe Rabbeinu says, oh, you have a rabbi like Rabbi Akiva and you're giving the Torah to me? And God didn't answer. God says, this is the way I decided. Bottom line is, Moshe Rabbeinu saw Rabbi Akiva and he said, this is such a great person. He saw him, he lived whatever, 1,000, 2,000 years later, but he was such a great person that Moshe Rabbeinu kind of respected him on that level. In short, let's talk about 3 stages of Rabbi Akiva. All right, let's talk about 3 stages of Rabbi Akiva. Does anyone know at what age Rabbi Akiva did teshuvah? When did Rabbi Akiva start becoming religious? Anybody know? Yes, Dov.
When he was 40.
40.
Right. When he was 40. Excellent.
I said it first, Tina. I said it first.
Exactly.
I didn't hear you, Avi.
Okay, I said it first. I said 40 first. Bye.
No,
I
you
said
didn't.
40, but I by mistake sent it to Rosie only.
Oh,
He was,
okay.
he wasn't 40, he was
He became
39.
religious.
Sharon said it first. Sharon said it first.
I said it first. I said it first.
He was 39.
Okay, can you let Rabbi Levy talk?
So he was 40 years old. Very good. 39, 40 years old. So he discovers the Torah, and Hashem says to him, he discovers the Torah, and he wants to go learn, but he doesn't know how to read. He's 40 years old. He doesn't know how to read, so he has to go to kindergarten to learn Aleph Bet. But he's saying to himself, how am I going to go to kindergarten to learn Aleph Bet? Because people are going to laugh at me. People are going to laugh at me and they're going to make fun of me and so on and so forth. So his wife tells him, I have an idea that's going to be a solution. I'll tell you what you should do. Go to, take a donkey, put some mud on its back, put some grass, and go to the shuk. And when you're there, scream, who wants to see the next wonder of the world? And everyone says, me, 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 me. What do? He runs into the shuk and he says, look at this, a donkey that's growing grass. A donkey that's growing grass. And everybody's amazed and everybody clears around him and so on and so forth. And he's really getting all the limelight. He Goes back home and to his wife and says, okay, now what? And she says, not yet, I go back tomorrow again. Tomorrow, how is this going to help me learn Torah? Fine. He goes back the next day. Same thing. Who wants to see a donkey that grows grass on its back? A miracle. Everyone crowds around. He does that 3-4 times. A week into it, no one comes. No one's interested. Now he goes back to his wife and says, now what should I do? She says, now you can go to the school and you can go learn within kindergarten Aleph Bet. Why? What's the point of the message? The point of the message is, yeah, people will be talking about it in the beginning, but at the end of the day, it'll become natural and no one's going to pay attention. It's just like when you want to grow, right? You want to accept something upon yourself. Brachon, prayer, niyud, whatever it might be, you know? You're going to say, oh, but if I do this, everyone's going to laugh. Everyone's going to think I'm a weirdo. Yeah, they might think that in the beginning, but after a while, it's a good thing. Okay? Next stage in his life we'll talk about. You know, the whole point of Sfirat HaOmer is in the Omer, we have these days up until Lag BaOmer that we don't get haircuts, we don't listen to music, and all these kind of things. That happens. Why? Because in those time periods, Rabbi Akiva's students were passing 1,000 students a day. 1,000 students a day were passing away. And the last one, so to speak, passed away. What do you think he would do the day after 24,000 students died? What would he be telling himself? He just had a school and 1,000 students passed away. What should he be telling himself? You know what he should be saying? He should be saying, hey, this is not for me. I need to try maybe real estate. Maybe I should go into stock markets. But this whole teaching thing is not for me. You know what he does? The next day, he reopens again, and he starts with 5 students. Those 5 students are the ones that effectively passed down the Torah today. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, Rabbi Meir Balanes, Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, the author of the Mishnah, the author of Kabbalah, all the biggest students came from Rabbi Akiva, second round. But what are we seeing from Rabbi Akiva? He doesn't pay attention necessarily to the reality when it comes to his mindset. He doesn't allow himself to fall into some type of depression and get down and so on and so on. Do you have a question? Someone have a question?
Yeah, isn't that not paying attention to the reality? Like we said, the whole thing we're supposed to be doing is...
So that's excellent. I'm happy that you asked that because I want to make that point clear. When I'm talking about not paying attention to the reality, I'm not talking about your actions. I'm talking about your mindset. Like, for example, if the reality would have dictated that Rabbi Akiva was just a bad teacher, then you're right, he shouldn't teach. But should he get down and depressed and upset and sad and all that? That's what I'm talking about, not paying attention to the reality. I'm happy. Does everybody understand that point?
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? It's not, when I say not paying attention to reality, I don't mean like all of a sudden, you know, I'll give you an example. If you go into the car mechanic business and you have 2 left hands, right, and you set every car on fire when you try and fix it, you're not smart by saying, you know, I shouldn't pay attention to the reality. No, you can't let yourself get down and depressed and upset and all that. Maybe I should try something else. But the point that Rabbi Akiva will see the whole reality going with him is like his mindset. And that's why I said everything that's going on in the world right now. Of course, we pay attention to the reality in terms of our actions and going. That's why I started off by saying, you go to the doctor, you be careful, you keep yourself clean, you wash your hands, all of that you have to do. Right? That's what you're saying, right? But you let yourself fall into depression and down and sad and hopeless. No, that's the part of reality I'm talking about, not paying attention to. And you'll see again, you know, the third stage in Rabbi Akiva's life. We had first when he was 40 years old, he wanted to learn Torah. The second stage is when Rabbi Akiva was with his students. The third is when he was caught by the Romans for studying Torah. There was a decree not to study Torah, and he was caught by the Romans studying Torah, and they tortured him. They caught him and they scraped his flesh with metal rods and poured salt on it. And he was there caught in that situation. He was saying Shema. You know this story? You guys know this story? So the students said to him, they were students for somehow they were there, and they said to him, finish saying the Shema, because if you finish saying the Shema, then you'll be put out of this misery, your pain and your soul will leave. So Rabbi Akiva says, I've been waiting for this situation my whole life, and so on and so forth. I'm gonna finish the Shema when I feel like finishing it. What does that mean? Now, I'm not talking about being put in that situation. I'm just coming to point out from this story of Rabbi Akiva how he was in control of his mindset. Even when he was caught by the Romans, he was still in control of his mind. And that's the first part of this whole class that we're talking about. And I have a whole workshop on it that I gave in New York about this point of like, yes, I keep saying it again and again so no one gets the wrong message. Yes, we have to keep clean. We have to stay at home. All these things. That's right. But who's in control of your mind? Is the reality going to dictate to you that now you're going to be sad and depressed and upset and frustrated and this and that? Or are you going to be in control like Rabbi Akiva when he started off at age 40, when he kept learning, when he had his tragedy with his students, when he ended, he had a situation with the Romans and so on and so forth, that he said, yes, I'm caught in this situation, but I will dictate to myself what my reaction will be. Okay, it's a very big point. I want you, those of you that are taking notes, I want you to think about this point. It's reactive versus proactive. Okay, I'll say it again. Reactive versus proactive. Okay, I've been teaching for over 20 years already, and I can tell you like this: a lot of people have like a victim mentality. Victim mentality is like, oh, I'm a victim. Yeah, you're in a reality. It's true. We're all in a reality. The entire world is in a reality, not just the Jewish people, not just Israel this time. It's not just the Jewish people. It's the entire planet. But we can't have the victim mentality. You can't let the situation break you. You can't be reacting. You have to be proactive. And I'm not talking now, you should go to school and study chemistry and find the cure. No. Talking about just in terms of your mind, right? The Torah, like we said, Rapo Yerapeh. You have the right to go to the doctor. You know why? Because Hashem wants to see how you're going to react to the situation. With the situation we said with Shluchei Mitzvah. Okay, a third point here. There's a famous pasuk that I bring. Any questions, by the way? Or are you guys all multitasking? Raise your hand if you're not multitasking. You're all multitasking. I can't believe it. You know what? I also multitask right now. Fine. I'll go cook.
I'm not.
You're not. Okay. You better not be multitasking. Okay. Let me share with you another pasuk. So the pasuk says like this, and I'll paint the situation first. Okay. The Jewish people just left Egypt. All right, they're running away from the Egyptians. They get to the Yam Suf. All right, they get to the Yam Suf, and there's a raging river in front of them. The Yam Suf is in front of them. So Moshe Rabbeinu does what the Jews are used to doing. When we're in trouble, what do? We pray. He turns to God. If anybody wants to study this more in depth, we could talk about it afterwards. It's a whole concept here, very important concept here. These are a very important fundamental in terms of like life and so on and so forth in our relationship with Hashem and understanding where it is He's taking us. So they're standing in front of the Yam Suf, and the Jewish people are turning to Moshe. They're all screaming. The desert's on the side. In back of them are the Egyptians. In front of them is a raging river. They're in a feeling of like confusion, hopelessness. They don't know what to do, right? Which is kind of the atmosphere that's going on right now in the world. And they turn to Moshe. Moshe Rabbeinu prays to God. So God says these powerful words. God says in the pasuk in Shmot, Mishpatim. Hashem says, "Ma titzak elai, daber el bnei Israel ve'isau." Right, which means, I'll translate in English. This thing is Ma titzak elai. Why are you screaming? Why are you turning to me? Tell the Jewish people to go. What do you mean? Why am I speaking to you? Like, you're God. Like, who else should I be turning to? Right? And what else should I be doing? God, Moshe Rabbeinu turns to God in this whole situation, and God says, "What are you praying to me for? What do you want I'm praying to you? What am I supposed to do? That's what we do." Rabbi Blazer tells Jewish people to jump in. So the Or HaChaim HaKadosh asked this question, right? What's the obvious question on this, right? What do you mean of why am I praying to you? The Or HaChaim HaKadosh explains that what's God's answer? Tell the Jewish people to go. It says sometimes the Jewish people or the person or the world is in a situation where yes, you have to pray, right? Like we said in the beginning, like God's not telling us now, I don't want you to pray. I want you to pray from home. I'm not telling you I don't want you to pray, right? But it's not the prayer necessarily that just the prayer that God wants. He wants to see your action. And God said, I need you to jump into the river to see that you really have what's known as bitachon. What do we say the difference between emunah and bitachon is? Emunah is the faith, the outlook. Bitachon is the practicality. So God was saying now, and the Or HaChaim HaKadosh says, it's not my words. I could share it with you. I'll show you the document. It's not God saying, it's not that I don't want you to, now is not your time to pray. Now is your time. I want to see what your action is. Do you have bitachon in me? Do you have trust? Now you're going to say to me, how does this pertain to us? What do you want us to do? What does this pertain to us? Very simple. It pertains perfectly. We need to know that now obviously is a time for Tehillim, obviously is a time to pray and so on and so forth. But God is also placing us in a situation. He wants to see our reaction. How are you emotionally going to react to it? How are you mentally going to react to it? That's called Daber b'nei Yisrael v'Yisrael. Tell the Jewish people to go. God's not telling us go outside of the house, go travel the world. He's not what he's telling us now. We can't even do weddings. Weddings we can't do. Right? You saw the videos of the rooftops and the weddings on the rooftops. So he's not like, but I want to see what's your reaction to it. Are you going to fall into despair and depression and sad and upset and lack of patience with your family? Or are you going to have real bitachon, which is you're going to work on you being proactive in terms of your mindset. And it's not easy. It's wonderful to teach this. It's great to teach this. But when you're sitting at home right now and after this class, you need to think about how do I implement that muscle called positive thinking. It's very hard to find positivity. There's always another WhatsApp, another update, another information that's coming in. But this is the test. Tell the Jewish people to go. What does that mean to go? I need to see your actions. I need to see how are you going to react to this situation. You fall into despair or you hold strong with it. And that within itself, says Or HaChaim HaKadosh, that within itself could create the blessing. I'll share the source with you, but that within itself. Any questions on this point? Let's pause for a minute. Because A, I need a sip of tea. And secondly, any questions on this point? It's either so boring that you're not interested, or it's so clear that you have no questions, or you can't hear what I'm saying. One of three.
Rabbi, it's so clear.
It's clear.
No, come on, you gotta have one question. I don't want to talk for an hour.
It's clear.
Someone asked, remember when Jeb Bush said in his running against Trump, please clap? You know that thing, please clap? You remember that video? Whatever, anyway. So someone asked the question.
Rabbi, I have a question with Rabbi Chaim. Rabbi Akiva.
Okay.
You're saying that the next day he started and he built up his yeshiva again, but he didn't warn them at all? The next day just got and continued?
No. Just for the purpose of this class. Maybe it wasn't the next day, maybe it was the next 7 days, 30 days. The point is he picked himself up and he kept going. That was the point. And maybe it wasn't the next day or something like that. Okay? You got that? Any other question? What else? Another question. One more. I'm not continuing until someone asks a question. Yes.
Our mindset, our positive mindset is supposed to lead us to do what actions?
In this particular situation?
Yeah.
Perfect. It's supposed to lead us to accept the reality that you're in now and deal with it in a positive, in as positive way as you can. Definitely in a mental positivity. That's where the bitachon comes in. You can't, don't sit in your house and say, oh, everything's la-di-da, everything's so perfect. No, it's not. There is an epidemic, there's tragic things going on, there's a lot of panic. It's not. But it's supposed to lead you to take mental control of the situation.
But then do what based on the mental?
That is dealing with the reality in a healthy mental state. That's where it leads you to. That's the step one of it.
Okay.
You understand? What's the test? Does everybody get that point? Does everybody understand that point?
I have a question about that.
Okay. Who's asking? Sorry.
Leticia. I'm on audio.
Oh, okay. Got you. Okay. What's up?
So kind of what she just asked, like, okay, like from a practical standpoint, what kind of, like, to be positive or to have a positive mindset, but so what does that actually mean? How do you actually, what do you think about?
So, it's funny because if we're asking this question, it means that all of us need to work on being more aware of where our mindset is.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? And I'm very happy that you're asking this question, because let's get real. Like, we don't have time right now to, like, dilly battle, it's called, or dilly dally, or whatever it's called. Whatever it is. You get what I'm trying to say? Like, this has got to be a real class about really getting somewhere after this class, about all of us together. Okay? Like, when I say, is it not like a fluff, positive thinking class in the sense of just making everybody feel good? No. The true point is that you have to confront the reality that you're in. And I say the word confront.
Mm-hmm.
Be passive that it comes to you. You confront the reality of the new reality of this world right now, so to speak, and work on not allowing it to break you or to bring us into some type of negative mindset, depressed, sad mindset, and to work on seeing the positive in the situation that you're in within a realistic view. You get what I'm saying? That's what I'm talking about. This is what I'm trying to stay away from right now, okay? And I'll get to it at the end of the class. I don't want to just paste it and say, if we all do this mitzvah, then we're perfect. No.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? I want to stay away from that right now. Do you understand? Like, I know everyone's like, okay, so what's okay, should I give tzedakah? Should I say tehillim? Should I pray? Of course you should. But don't just paste it on that. Let's start from the core. What's the core? What's the core? You tell me, Leticia, what's the core?
Your mindset.
Your mindset. Where's your mind? Rabbi Akiva, right? Went through so much things. He never gave in to that mindset that could have dragged him to the bottom. At age 40, going to kindergarten. He has to change careers. I'm going to put it,
Yeah.
I'm going to change it up a little bit, so to speak. His situation with his students passing away. All of a sudden, he could just drop everything, and that's it. His life's over. He retires. No. And at the end of his life, no. It's this first part of the class is about the mindset, the core, the power of learning to tap into HaKadosh Baruch Hu running the world and letting that ferment within ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And the only word is really ferment, because it's got to grow. It's not just a switch that you just say yes or no. I'm not just saying, do this mitzvah and you're good. No, at the end of the class, we'll get to like, okay, what kind of mitzvot, and we'll talk about that. But the first part of this class is just learning how to tap into true emunah and bitachon. We're all stuck. I told you, I've lost like 10 rounds of Rummy Cup. My kids are destroying me in this thing. Like Monopoly, like I own like every terrible property. When you heard this. But that doesn't mean there's a reality that we're all confronted with. But it doesn't end there. Rapo yirapeh. You can go to the doctor. You have to be proactive about your destiny. And it starts with the mindset, guys. Okay? What are other questions on this before we kind of move on to it? What else?
I have a question.
Yes, Jasmine.
How much are we supposed to do from like ourselves? Like, am I supposed to go like Passover shopping now, let's just say, or is that like too much and you start panicking? Like,
Look,
I don't know where the cutoff is of like how much we have to do and how much we have to trust God.
So again, that's very good. Excellent. I mean, I can tell you from the way things are being handled in Israel, like they're slowly, in a very smart way, getting to a situation where there's going to be total lockdown. Okay, it started off with like you can't have 100 people, and then it went up to like 10 people, down 10 people. Then they closed all theaters and this and that. Yes, it's not, and that's the point. It's not lack of emunah and bitachon to make sure that you have food and to make sure that you have matzot for Pesach. That's not called lack of emunah and bitachon. If God's placing you in a reality, you have to be proactive about it. So as a personal suggestion, I'm not, as a personal, yeah, I do think you should, make sure you have enough food in the house. I do think you should make sure you have matzot and all these kind of things. I think that's where the reality is kind of heading. You should be stocking up. You shouldn't just be saying,
right,
oh, it'll figure itself out. And it's as long, but integrated to what we're saying, as long as what, Jasmine, as long as what, you do that. But as long as
you have a positive mindset.
Yeah, you don't let it destroy you. You don't like charge the supermarket and like run over everybody and all that kind of stuff. You get what I'm saying? You do it in a healthy way. In as much of a healthy way as you possibly can. You understand what you understand where the game is, so to speak?
Yeah, keep your sanity, but be prepared.
Right. Exactly. Is that a lack of emunah and bitachon? Is it a lack of trusting in God? Jasmine, I'm asking you, is it lack of trusting in God?
No, because we're just doing our part, I guess.
Right. Okay. When a person takes medicine, is it lack of trusting in God? No. You're reacting to the reality. But the question is, do you take the medicine, you freak out and you fight and yell and scream? Or do you take it and say, okay, God, now I've done my part, the rest is in God's hands? That's a perfect example. You get it?
Thank you, Rabbi. Yeah, thank you, Rabbi. Makes sense.
I had no choice. You asked the question in public. I'm supposed to not answer it. What am I supposed to do? Ask it like that. I'm just kidding. All right, let's go on. Let's get to now a little bit more. If we're going to take this, we're going to take it to a little bit more of like a practical perspective. This is the part that you've like basically been asking about. What is this new reality? Again, and I'm giving like, let's take this in parts. Tomorrow, God willing, I'll be giving another class on this, like expounding on these things that we're talking about. So we'll go into it a little bit more. I've basically come up with like three directions, three ideas. What is this reality presenting us with? Okay, it's presenting us with three things, right? What are the three things? What are the three things this reality is presenting us with? Who wants to help me out a little bit? What are the three things? First of all, it's forcing us to do what? It's forcing us to wash our hands, cleanliness, and so on and so forth.
Forcing us to stay home, Rabbi.
What?
Some family time.
Wait, yeah. We'll
To separate.
Right. So the first thing, the first thing that it's doing is it's forcing us to wash our hands, and it's forcing us to deal with water all the time. Right? Right? It's forcing us to deal with like water all the time. What is the place? Let's talk about, and this is where you want to talk about like what we should like, we spoke about the mindset. That was part one of the class. Now you want to talk about, I'm working on that. Put it on the shelf to the side, work on it. Now you want to talk about, okay, now you want to talk about mitzvot, right? So first of all, let's think about Netilat Yadayim. We're all washing our hands. My daughter-in-law, what was it? She said, hold on. Yeah. Every time you wash your hands, remember whose hands you're in. I like that. Every time you wash your hands, remember whose hands you're in. Meaning like you're doing a Netilat Yadayim. So first of all, let's all together, Bezat Hashem, in the morning, as soon as you wake up, You're supposed to do Netilat Yadayim. Okay? We'll do Netilat Yadayim. You're washing your hands. God's clearly asking us to wash our hands. There's two types of, I'll go with halachot. Now, don't come out of this class and come out and saying, Rabbi Levy said that the key to this whole thing is washing your hands for bread and for Yadayim, and that was the whole message. No, I just spent an hour on our growth mentally and our mindset. Now I'm just trying to bring in some ideas of where this is taking us on a daily level. First of all, morning, you wake up, you do Netilat Yadayim. There's a difference between Netilat Yadayim in the morning and the one for bread. Who wants to help me with that? There's two different ways to wash. What are they?
With a bracha and without a bracha.
Well, I don't want to say no in public.
Right, left, and then right, and left.
So you're right, and left. Okay, so the first one in the morning is called sirugin, which is alternate. So you wash your hands, one, that's called one, two, and three. So effectively, each hand gets washed 3 times, just alternating, and then you say the bracha of al netilat yadayim. For bread, it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That's for bread, and then you say the bracha of al netilat yadayim. So it's 2 different ways to wash. But if we're already starting from the netilat yadayim, let's start with modeh ani. What's the difference between the way the girls say modeh ani and the boys? Who can help me?
Girls say moda.
Good. Girls say moda ani lefanecha. Hope that everyone has that clear. Boys say modeh ani. Hey, moda ani lefanecha, moda ani lefanecha melech v'kayam, shechazarta b'nishmati b'chemla, abay emunatecha. Okay, we can get into like what that represents, but we start our day with modeh or moda, which is effectively thanking God. Right? You wake up with that. Then you go to the bathroom. And after the bathroom, you do Netilat Yadayim. You say the bracha of Al Netilat Yadayim and Asher Yatzar. Okay, that's the blessing that we say after we go to the bathroom. And Birkot HaShachar. So we'll elaborate that on that on another class. But the first thing is clearly water. Now, why water? What does water represent in the Torah? Where do you find water in the Torah? You always find water where there's a change of status, right? Mikveh for a woman, mikveh for utensils is water. Netilat Yadayim is water. The Kohanim, before they would go and do their work in the temple and the Bet HaMikdash, they would use water. Water is always used to elevate to purity. Maybe that's an idea to think about. Maybe all the videos, the Netflix, the this, the that we're busy with, maybe we should elevate ourselves a little bit above that. Does it mean that we can't do it at all? No, but maybe it needs to be a little bit more reserved. Think about that for a minute. Maybe that's what water represents. Second reality that this is that we're confronted with is we're all at home with our families, right? Why is that? Because we'll all agree, and this is not just a Jewish thing. The entire world has effectively, kind of shifted away from core family values. Do you agree? It's all about how I look on the gram, my Instagram. It's all about my Facebook status, right? You stand there, you take your phone, you're like, you're not interested in where you are. You do the little cheek thing. You take your picture, right? You look, right? And then that's it. You post it. Okay, all our family values and all that kind of stuff. The entire world has gone off whack. So what is Hashem making us do? What is he making us do? Who are the people important to us in our life? Who are you with right now? You know who you are? You're with the people that you could really rely on.
Family.
You're with your family. You're with your family. You're with the ones that matter the most. Because that's bringing us back to family values. Which is something that, unfortunately, we started straying away. So maybe we should give a class. Someone has to be. Maybe we should give a class that discusses some family values. Maybe we should talk about, as students, we should talk about kibud avim, what it means to respect our parents, what it means v'ahavta l'recha kamocha. Maybe we should have a class about lashon hara, speaking, not speaking negative. Someone should mute. right? And maybe we should have a class about speaking positive about others. Maybe we should talk a little bit about, anger and jealousy, all these family values that we're kind of dealing with. You get what I'm saying?
Down mute.
What? Okay, so that's the second point. I think we should give a class on that. And the third class I think we should have is, what else is this forcing us to do? Obviously, deal with water all the time, family values. What's the third? Who can tell me what the third is? Unmute yourself if you want to answer it. What's the third? What other thing is this reality doing to us?
Surrender or give up control.
Okay, good. Let's take it. Okay. What else? What else is going on? What else is in the news all the time? What are you always watching? Oh my God, look. The weddings, the travel.
To stop everything.
Well, it's not stopping it. What's it doing?
Shabbat.
It's not. Well, Shabbat not yet, but it's not
postponing.
It's not even postponing it. People are getting married. You see the wedding of the wedding by the yeshiva they had with the dancing and the 10 people and all that.
Oh.
Not to get married. It's saying, but let's just downgrade a little bit. Is anyone thinking about travel right now? Is anyone thinking about their Pesach vacation? No. Is anyone thinking about where their next, fur coat is going to come from? No. What are we thinking about? Food, health, it's bringing us down a little bit humble, making us a little humble. Our materialistic side has gone way out of control, right? We're all living in the same thing, not different than you. We're all like, where are we gonna go on vacation? Where are we gonna buy this? What do we want from that? We need to learn, and this is the point, guys, and we'll have a class about it. I would like to get to it. Let's learn to be happy with what we have. Let's learn humility. We'll talk about pride and humility and learn to be happy with what we have. Hashem is, you see these, like, now it's not about in the weddings, it's not about the flowers, and it's not about the food and who's going to sit next to who and the hall. It's about, can I have a wedding? God's limited travel. He's limited all these materialistic things, and we're just down to the basics. We're all happy that we're healthy and we're eating and the people next to us are healthy, and that's the basics. So I think those are the 3 points we should tomorrow be giving a class at the same time. We should be discussing. One is like, netilat yadayim, water, purity, things like that. We'll get into a little bit of halachot of the morning. Maybe we'll branch out to brachot a little bit. We can go into that. That would be a lot of fun. And then we should have a class that deals with family values. And then we should have a class that deals with materialism and being happy with what we have. Because those are the 3. You guys, we're asking practically, what are on a uber practical level, right? The first level is mindset. On the uber practical level, I think those are things we should pursue. And it's not just a Jewish thing. It's the whole world is involved with this as well. Okay, I'll be happy to take any questions before we finish off this class. On any of the topics, on any of the points that we might have spoken about, or so on and so forth. I've always wanted to, any questions, I'll be happy to, but I always wanted to say this, even if it's not true. Please like the video downstairs, and don't forget to subscribe to my something. No, there's a thing to it. I know it, I had it. Please like my videos and subscribe, and don't forget to share and donate to the Buy Rabbi Levy Buy a Suit Fund. It's BUYRLEVY.
Just send us your Venmo, Rabbi.
Yeah, thank you. GoFundMe campaign. All right. Any other questions, guys, before we call it a day?
Rabbi, it's Karen. I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So, number one, thank you so much for such a beautiful class. It was definitely very uplifting. So you've mentioned before to kind of create mental brackets for ourselves to not let things seep in. And I feel like this is the perfect time while we have this time to be introspective and really focus on ourselves, I think this is the perfect time to create those mental brackets. Do you have some tips on how we can kind of do that and like strengthen ourselves?
I can't give it to you in 1 minute, but I can tell you like this. I can tell you like this, and maybe if there's interest, we can get into this. There's I teach in a seminary in Yerushalayim, and there's something I was working on for months. It's called MSBR. Okay, and what is it? Represents your mind, your soul, your body, and roles. If we want to talk about creating mental brackets in our mind, we have to learn how to create a sense of balance. Everything in our life has to be balanced and in a healthy way. Because if one thing is too much, then it affects our entire being. So that we can kind of get into it. I can't just give you like a cheap answer and say like, yeah, do this, say that, because it's not justice. Hopefully, maybe like we'll see, the idea would be like, we can have a class about how can we create a sense of balance in our life. And again, it's easy for me to teach this. It doesn't mean these are things that I get to these points because these are things that I deal with as well. Okay, these are systems or studies or whatever it is that I've gone into in order to be able to do. Okay, so I know I didn't fully answer your question, but I kind of in a way did.
Can we do a class?
Yeah. Anyone else? Before you go?
Rabbi, question.
Yes.
So yesterday on the news, last night, I saw, I don't know, I mean, I know the media is getting to our head. It's causing a lot of stress and panic, but they said that like, by the time this corona is over, 2.2 million United States citizens will die. So how do you, whenever you see that, how do you stay sane? How do you have emunah, bitachon? Like, you don't know what's going to be. And businesses are dead. Like, my business is really crappy right now. Whatever, it is what it is. It's all calling me on Hashemayim. Also, but also, like, why is God really doing this? Also, that's another question.
I mean, look, I can't profess to have all the answers or any of the answers. I can't profess to do that, and I don't think anyone can. The rabbis that I'm associated with are not professing to have the answers. So I have to tell you, why is God doing this? Why he's not? We're not prophets. The most that we could do is what we spoke about today. Create proactivity of how we're going to react to the situation. Okay? What will be, that's not something that I could tell you. There's no way I could tell you. There's clearly economic ramifications throughout the world. There's clearly health ramifications throughout the world. And what should we do? And that's how we started the class. We should do what is the guidance that we're getting from the experts. What we should actually practice. What I can profess to tell you is how you should handle the situation. I would be lying to you if I just threw you an answer. So I can't profess to have the answer, but I can tell you that I can tell you how to handle it. Yes, that I can take responsibility for, because that's something that I can't say I do know.
My question is like really how to handle it. 2 million people are going to pass like
I can't. First of all, just on a side note, off the record, no one knows what's going to actually.
Yeah, no one knows. Like you see,
no one knows. No one knows. HaKadosh Baruch Hu brought this little virus that we don't even see. Hashem could take it away. Let's hope and pray, and our actions should be that He should. We don't know. We don't know. You don't know. So get yourself in panic mode is not going to help. You should do everything humanly possible to protect yourself and stay healthy. But you don't know what tomorrow is going to be like. So to live in a state of fear because of what's being said on the news is not the right way. You should, in my opinion, you should stay well informed, but not check your WhatsApp every 2 seconds. Unless you're in a forest running away from an army, you want to get updated which way to go. But beyond that, you know what I'm saying? It becomes obsessive. You sit there, let us update. You need to check the news and you need to check and be updated. But once it becomes obsessive and unhealthy, that's not a good thing. And you need to have a schedule, guys. You need to wake up in the morning at the same time. You need to have prayer, work out, read, all this kind of stuff. Boredom is the worst thing you can do right now. So, that's kind of my point with that. Okay? Okay, guys. B'ezrat Hashem, I look forward to seeing you tomorrow, and I hope the class was good, and B'ezrat Hashem, we should be safe, and the zchut of Torah and Am Yisrael and mercy of Hashem should protect us and the entire world. I love you all. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for my family for being quiet for an hour and a half because I decided I wanted to give a class. So take care. Peace out.
Thank you, Rabbi.
My pleasure.
Everyone.